Welcome back. Hope you had a lovely, lovely Christmas. This is AOR's 27th round on the F1 game, and we're coming back for round one in Melbourne. We've got 20 drivers ready and raring to go. We're just waiting for everybody to tick into the lobby, and we'll be off, up, and running. So I'm Greg, otherwise known as the Wufaffer in the Discord. Hope you can all join us for a lovely season of racing, both this season and for a further few more rounds. We are going around Melbourne Park this evening, 29 laps, so a 50% race. Got short qualifying to set the grid, and then we're going to have, hopefully, a fantastic race. Lots of good overtaking. There's a lot of new names in this that I don't quite recognise, so you'll have to excuse me while I start from scratch, learn these names, learn who's fast, learning who's slow, and ultimately who's going to come out the championship in a winning way. So as we load in, make sure everybody is all up and ready. I did say to the drivers I would read out some of their aspirations for this season, so I'm just going to pull those up while I wait for everybody to select their setups and get going. It's quite a late request today, so I've only got three. First one being Persegili. His previous league experience is his 7th season in AOR. His goals for the season is a repeat. That is one bit of information I do know. He did win last season, so he's set himself a high bar. He was asked if anything else he wanted to share, and he says that he loves his mum and dad, which is absolutely wonderful. I'm assuming they gave him a lot of love over this Christmas. Then we've got Moxie5, whose previous league experience was he's raced in AOR Tier 1 Season 21 and on F1 2020. Did some races in WOR2. His goals for the season, he's waiting to see what the pace of other drivers is to see what he can do, but fighting for the Constructors' Championship would be amazing. He was asked what else he wanted to share, and it's as bad as F1 games are, I still love competing in them. He shakes his head disapprovingly at this game. We've then got, not quite sure how you pronounce this, but P403 N1X87. His previous league experience is just simply dive bombs. Well, I'm not sure those have been successful or unsuccessful for him in previous years, but he's going to try dive bombs going forward. And his goal for this season is finishing at least one race. That, unfortunately, is not going to have been so great for him, seeing as he was on his way home and a branch has fallen on the train line and has halted his progress in the season so far. He was asked if there's anything else, and I haven't slept in 3 days and I'm dying, OMG. So it's just gone from bad to worse for P4's day. And, oh yeah, off we go. Looks like we've got a Ferrari being the first one to come out of the garage. And let's get some telemetry, some lap data, and a track map to help me work out who is where. So we did have a Ferrari. Let's see if we can find... Not that one. But there is another one ahead. We have an Aston Martin ahead. My favourite way to go is first person out, first person gets on the screens. So heading us out is Creamer, who I do remember from last season, with a fresh set of boots, fresh set of hard tyres, gleaming in the Melbourne sunshine, with the Ferrari of, well, I believe, Gabs trailing behind him. I do wonder if Gabs is going to maybe want a bit of clean air, or he's going to utilise the slipstream, especially through this section. This new section from turn on onwards is reprofiled. We've now taken out the 910 chicane. So it is now a fully flat out section with a small section of DRS now as well that the drivers can utilise in the race and in qualifying. But we still come up to what was originally turn 11, 12 is now 9 and 10. The very fast, famous, dangerous chicane coming down to the... I'm trying to learn these corners as I go. To the Ascari corner. And you had a famous driver's name, just needed to refresh my memory. But as it's quite a fast track, looks like Creamer's doing the right thing and not using up his tyres in an attempt to warm them up. But he's going to have his foot flat down now. Brakes not too heavy into the final corner. You want a slingshot well out of this one. Keep it nice and tight, let the car naturally slide out. He looks like got a little bit tail happy there. He's got a car of a Mercedes in the distance ahead of him. He's going to want to clear that as soon as possible. We have a yellow flag early on, but quickly cleared up as drivers just do back up, coming to start their lap. Going to find a reference point early on. As it looks like he gets nicely slowed down for turn 3. Goes siding through here. You can really carry a lot of speed through there. You want to be nice and soft on those curves. Do not settle the car. It's easily done. A bit of over rotation and you're finished. Naturally goes purple through the first sector. The Mercedes does move over. Doesn't allow him to get any free slipstream from the engine compatriot. But now this is where your lap can get won and lost. But I imagine conservative laps early on. Won't take too many risks. Yeah, drops down to 6. Does ride the curve quite a bit though, and does have a bit of a rear step out, but does keep the lap valid for now. ERS mostly used up by this section, but he's not going to have too much use for it aside from exiting the final corner. Very, very committed looking, very, very planted, especially on the front end. Had a few rear snaps here and there, but he turns in now, picks up his DRS, powers towards the line, maybe doesn't shift up into 8th. He does, and sets the first 117.5. We want the other Ferrari of Tash. It's gone only 3/10 slower. Then we've got Aston Martin coming across the line of AVT Pasti. And then the other Aston Martin of Bachelor Lightyear. And we have a Mercedes coming through, but I think they're just starting a lap. And we've got 2 McLarens, one coming into the pits. And J-Train and Invalid Lap coming across the line. We've got a Ferrari further back of Gabs. What can he do? Goes pole for now. Cleared the gap by 2/10. Further back, we've then got Moxie, who takes another 2/10 out of that lead. Creamer's time initially, falling back a little bit just for now. We've got Williams cars coming through the final bend, but heading into the pits. We've then got a Haas, a solid Ninja Snake, who I did butcher a bit last season, goes P7 for now, quite a conservative time. We're going to pick up J-Tray, who's been found himself amongst an awful lot of traffic, but does pull to the inside. I don't think he's lost too much time there. Notice we've got a few people tuning in so far. If you're in the comments, like, subscribe, maybe drop a few comments, tell us who you're supporting and what you'd like to see from the race, or any predictions you have for this qualifying session initially. As we do just catch J-Tray stepping over the white line out of turn 10 and backs out of his lap. But Percy Geely, the championship winner from last season, what can he do to start off his championship campaign? Goes P2. Brushes off the cobwebs and does nicely, sticking it on the front row. I think we've got an Alpha Red Bull. Can't catch who that was coming to the final section. We've got an Alfa Romeo coming through as well. That's Duper coming into the pits. And we've got another Haas somewhere. I believe. Sure, we've got 2 Haas's, do we? Percy is still going round. Let's try and pick the Alfa Romeo in the middle sector. Super Jesse. So let's pick up Super Jesse. Who is pushing a little bit harder on the outlap than other drivers have been. Not quite saving his tyres as others have been. Misses the first apex. Slingshots himself onto the pit straight as he sees a lot of traffic coming out ahead of him. Hopefully this doesn't hinder him too much coming into the first turn. Turns in, he's got an Aston Martin in his sights, potentially free slipstream, but no, it's impeding. He does go after the slipstream, but I'm not sure how much that might have affected him. Let's find out. Keeps it quite nice and tidy into turn 3 and out of turn 4. Heavy on the curb, which you can afford. Fast through turn 6. Don't want to go too heavy in the braking there. You scrub a lot of speed, but if you get it just right, you can really throw a lot of speed through that quick chicane. Now, there's not much really to do here. Just follow the line, keep your power down, don't lose control of the car, and open this corner up to go through 9 and 10. Turns in, does have McLaren for company, but he's far enough ahead. Maybe a bit of free slipstream here to be picked up. This is going to have a lot of traffic coming to this final section. All these cars came out to try and put a lap, as we do have Alfa Romeo just stopped to the side of the track. Not sure if he's going to go in. This McLaren's not going to slow now. He's going to have to follow him to the line. Bit of dirty air, bit of a wiggle of the tail. But he might appreciate it as he comes across the line and goes P12. Yeah, definitely think he was hindered on that track. One driver we haven't seen set a lap so far is Tezik. He just starts his lap. I don't think that Alfa Romeo has got moving too well. The Alpha Tauri, sorry. I'll just find out who that is. Yeah, we've got Guilmarv. I don't have any favourites yet, Bubs. Thank you for commentating. I'll reserve my judgment and find my favourites as I move through the season. I'm going to cop out of that one, but Guilmarv does make it to the pits. It's fine. We'll return back to Tezik. He's got the Alpha Tauri ahead of him. Under Haas, sorry. So many of the cars utilising white in this game. Hard to pick them apart on the fly. It says it does just keep it in the white lines, but then it's definitely hindered by the Alfa Romeo there. Who was that? That was Alfa Romeo. That Max Duca trying to set up his lap. Definitely got in the way of Tezik there, who does then peel into the pits. I'm going to pick up Creamer, who's coming as the final sector now. First man on the track, got his pole initially, and now it quickly taken away. His drivers came across the line. Oh, as he really utilises the curb there. Snaps the back wheel towards the wall. Does improve on his time. Goes P3 behind Persegili. Only a 10th off, and then 2 tenths off pole. We have a Ferrari coming through the final sector. They're just starting a lap, so we'll go to the other Ferrari of Tash, who is invalid, so we won't go to him. How about the Mercedes in the final sector? That's Persegili on an outlap, and the other one of Rising Moon also on an outlap. Potentially some team play going on there. With an Aston Martin coming through the final lap final corners as well. That's Batcher Lightyear. Rounds the final corner, gets the DRS wide open, pushes towards the line. A lot of ERS still left to be used. Does improve to P9. As you just spot Tash going purple in the middle sector. So we're going to stay on board with him, find out if there's anything left in his tank to use. But he has used a lot of ERS already. So I'm not just sure if this is a very fast in lap on low fuel. But we're going to stay on board just to see how it pans out. He's got a lot of cars in his way. Let's all. I know we've got still a few cobwebs from not having raced the game in a few weeks, but let's all keep it nice and fair. Moving out of the way, no impeding, please. Comes through in the final sector. Brakes nice and hard. Don't go too deep. Try and center your line, and then get on the power as early as possible. Very committed. As Moxie improves his time. Sets a very commanding pole. As Tash would have taken pole, but for Moxie, who did just absolutely smash the pole time. Thank you for joining us, Retro Ghost. Nice to have you. Can't introduce how I normally would. We'll keep it PG here. So we've got Guilmarv coming through turn 3, out of turn 4. There's a heavy amount of curbing, but that's all okay. There's even a little bit of asphalt you can use near the barrier there for a bit of wide traction. Turns it in. He's got his teammate here, so that gives him a slipstream up here, but don't think he's set off quite well enough to give him the full slipstream. The Ferrari's going to have to get out of the way. Now, hopefully they're communicating and he's not been hindered, as he did set a purple middle sector there. That's legit. He is inside the top 10. He's got a lot of clear track to use up here. Heavy on the curbing. Throws it in. Keeps it in 6th gear. Very impressive. A lot of ERS still left to deploy as he goes a little bit deep, but does collect it. And is nice and calm at the rear. And goes P2. Joins his teammate Moxie on the front row into the 16s. What about Pedro? I think this is an in lap. The Rising Moon. AVT Pasty does a good lap, but does not improve. But Elise, who I believe is reserving this evening, doesn't seem to be pushing. I think this is an in lap. And we've got Super Jesse. I'm quite unsure what this lap is. He's still got quite a lot of ERS left. And he goes pushing, and he goes P11, joins his teammates. Quite close on the grid, not the same row, but very close. I believe we've got... As we just miss Rejad Jamakovic coming across the line in P10, pushes the Alfa Romeos out of the top 10, puts them on the same row. Oh, it's J-Tray going very deep into turn 3. I think Goymarv is going into the pit, so I'm not going to jump to him coming through the final sector. I think I will go. I think AVT Pasty's coming in. These has invalidated. I think there's going to be many people out at the moment. We'll go on board with Tezik, who is about to set his first lap very deep into the session. Goes across the line and goes P8. There. So I didn't quite catch that comment, but there are reserve spaces across all tiers. If you want to join, there should be a description available very, very shortly. You can join in with all the fun. We race F1. We race ACC. With PC, PlayStation, cross-platform. You name it. AOR has got you covered. We are just waiting for drivers to come out. We're going to move over to the Aston Martin of Creamer. I think his aim is to get a fair bit of free air here. So you'll have to excuse me while I do warm myself and dust the cobwebs off myself. It's been a little while since commentating. It's very warm in this room. So Creamer doing the absolutely right thing as we're just starting to watch the pit lane come alive. This will be the last run for everybody. So yeah, super, super sensitive. Creamer will have absolutely minimal fuel. Be coaxing that round, coaxing his tyres round. And we'll start lighting his tyres up towards the end. Yeah, we're just pouring out now. All the fun will begin very, very shortly. Can anybody topple the Alpha Tauri duo of Moxie and Gulmarv? Please do correct me if I've said any of those names incorrectly. I aim to please. Still a few people leaving it very, very late to come out. As we watch Creamer just start to pick up the pace. Needs some warmth in these tyres, otherwise the first few corners aren't going to be that pretty. As he starts to apply the throttle now, ERS will start to get deployed as soon as he's got his tyres straight. And off he goes. Handful of miles to complete. He's got his braking point for turn 1 absolutely correct, so he can clip this turn in. She does absolutely perfectly. Wobbles over the exit curb in. Kisses the exit of turn 2. Is what markers he knows to turn the car in here. Oh, big slide. Big, big slide. But he's got nothing left to lose. He's going to have to apply himself over this lap. Otherwise, all that preparation was for nothing. Straight line it through those S's. Pick the curb you want to hit through there. And then just, like I said earlier, just flat out through here. DRS open despite the bends. Now, one of the scariest chicanes on the calendar. Taking over 120, 150 miles an hour. As he's in the gravel, but keeps it valid. Crazy committed lap here. He did well to keep his foot in it. Most people would have assumed that that was goodbye lap, as Goymarv has has ejected himself from the session. I'm not sure if that's him driven himself off or if he's just retired. But DRS does open. Oh, with a big snap. I don't think this is going to be too great an improvement for Creamer. Yeah, not quite the lap he wanted. As we can go to Tarek, who's been timed out of the session. Not good. But we then have Tash, who showed great pace, would have had pole earlier on. Comes towards the line and goes. Stays P3, the other Ferrari of Gabs. What can he do? Brings himself onto the second row. What about Persegili? He's one of the few men left on track we think can displace Moxie. I think Moxie's a bit further on the road. Oh, Moxie's all over the place off the track. How he's still got that valid is beyond me. As he goes into the pit, so go back to Persegili. He's got 3.5 temps in hand. It's not going to be enough for pole, but it should put him on the front row. What can he do? He does. He goes P2. Who else we got still going around? Got Max Duca, does improve, brings it up to P12. And Mitsu Rally Monster, I believe that is struggling to navigate the pit lane, it seems. Seemingly he was relying on Gunter Steiner to direct him in, but since he has departed, he's no longer waving the flag for him. But there we have it, guys. There are your results for qualifying. Moxie taking a triumphant start in qualifying, taking the maiden pole for this season. And we're going to get a rundown of those results in just a second. So there we have it. We have Moxie, followed by Persegili. Wanted to start off on the front foot, didn't quite make it. It was very, very close in the end. Then we have Gulmarv starting in P3, just behind his teammate. Then Tash and Gabs the Ferraris in P4 and 5. Rising Moon in P6, Creamer in P7, Pedro and Mushlan P9, AVT Pasti rounding out the top 10. Tezik in P11, then Max Duca, Rijad Jamovic in P13, Super Jesse 14, Bachelor Lightyear in P15, Solid Ninja Snake, J Trey, Elise, and Mrs. Simu Rally Monster in P19. Didn't quite get the 20th driver in the end. So we're just going to wait now for a few strategy calls by the drivers. We're not sure how many of them are talking amongst their teams. Maybe there's some team strategy that will go on. Maybe everyone's out for themselves. But we're hoping that all the driving is kept clean, respectful, and we can have a good time for the 29 laps of Melbourne Park, which is specially designed for the racetrack and obviously the enjoyment of the park and surrounding areas on the lake. So you haven't got one already, grab yourself a nice cold one, sit back, enjoy the commentary, enjoy the race. I'm going to try and bring you all the action. Please excuse me, I don't catch everything. Hopefully try and look into your highlight reel afterwards. Is there anything you personally wanted posted? But no, I am quite looking forward to Persegili being challenged immediately on the start line. Thank you, Ertie. We're going to go straight into the race. There is no formation lap. So you're going to get 5 red lights straight away. And then we're going to be green flag racing. Now, the turn 1 and 2 of this track, it does go quite wide into quite a tight pinch for turn 1 and then does open up again and then tightens around the straight, which has been subject to a lot of incidents over recent years. It's the one part of the track which hasn't been reprofiled multiple times over. It's very much stayed the same, to the dismay of drivers for the last 20 years. So yeah, everybody's now seen the qualifying positions. If you'd like to throw me some some guesses, some predictions, who might come out on top. If there's any particular tyre strategy that might play around here. I think what used to be potentially a two-stop race with the amount of wear through all the separate chicanes on the track, and they used to be about 4 or 5. It's been reduced by 1, which might open up just a simple one-stop strategy. The hard tyre has been greatly improved on this game. It goes for a lot longer and is a lot faster. The time loss on the hard tyre is not all that great, but it will keep performing towards the end, albeit lag at the start. But we have 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and a slight lull, and away we go. We are off. Moxie does look like he gets a pretty good start. Oh, as we've jumped straight into a safety car. I'm not sure how legitimate that is. So there is a safety car amongst the pack. If an admin would like to drop in the comments if we're going to be resetting. But then, as predicted, looks like it is going to be a one-stop race, especially with the safety car now coming out. If you have any soft tyres, they're going to go a hell of a lot longer now. I can only imagine all the drivers that got stuck behind the safety car on the exit would have been really confused. But we're going to wait now for Moxie to catch the leader. Well, to catch the safety car. He is the leader. So we're going to get some tyre information to begin with. I think all those starting with a hard tyre will be cursing this safety car coming out. They're going to be a sitting duck to those 2 Ferraris. They can jump early, make their softs last, then jump on the mediums for the end. Really, really scupper the hard runners. But thankfully, as the grid is all formed, we should get going relatively quickly. So for those who are familiar with the game, the safety car will not stay out for any longer than 3 full laps. I'm unsure whether that is after the lead car has caught the safety car. So yeah, nobody able to really use their soft tyres just yet. We've not had any green flag conditions. But one of the most mixed strategies I've seen on a grid in a long time. So just a confirmation that we are going to continue with this unfortunate safety car glitch. Provided obviously it does come in when it's supposed to. But no, great to hear in the comments if there's anybody who got any racing related gifts over Christmas, whether that be new sim gear, a tyre, any tickets to go watch racing or to race in real life, maybe a new car. Love to hear it. So going for at least one more lap, I presume. Be interesting to see if anybody does hit underneath the safety car. Not looking likely. I mean, there is a small tactical chance you could pit off the softs and onto the hards and just go to the end of the race. I've seen it done, but the opposite way around when Alex Albon did it. It was only last year. Alex Albon started the race on his hard tyres, ran it for the entire race as it was the prime tyre, and only on the last lap stopped for soft tyres. And I think he finished in P10, what at the time was a very uncompetitive Williams. So we'll keep you up to date as of when we do get the call for safety car in this lap, plus all the games. Notification is at the end of sector 2, and there it is, safety car in this lap. The game will now slightly stall Moxie, which will then back him into the pack. He's then oh yeah, hards won't last in the video games, Retro says. So you have to pit again. I think potentially, if the quality of these drivers are pretty immense, I'm sure somebody will be willing to give it a go. So Moxie keeping a relative pace, not letting the safety car get too far away, choosing not to back the pack up too much, but I reckon he'll start doing that once he breaks into this corner. Yeah, still not fully on the gas. The Ferraris of Tash keen to get on with things as he, yes, now punches a hole in the air, lets everybody coming behind him. Perseguidi's getting attacked by Gulmarv, and Gulmarv pushes him to the curb, tries it round the outside. The two Ferraris are trying to work as a team here. Tash has got himself all sort of involved. Will he take a dive? He has on Perseguili, doesn't quite get Gulmarv. And then Gabs is going to try one around Perseguili as well, but Perseguili got a bit of a better line through there. Further down the pack, we've got Creamer taking a look at the other Mercedes of Rising Moon. Now Moxie, I reckon, is really going to struggle through here. But Gulmarv is really, really under pressure from Tash. Tash really making these soft tyres work. Don't think he'll make a move into 9. It'd be impressive if he does. Looks on the outside, isn't given the space. Stays in third place for now. But a very heavy traction chicane. Tash looks to the outside, gets a little bit of speed. Oh, and then glitches to the inside. Oh my goodness. And then runs going off track, and that is a big crash. And we now have a virtual safety car. For those who are not familiar, maybe they're joining the stream, joining F1 for the first time, drivers are reduced to an average lap time which they have to meet. They will be given a delta, they go above it, they'll be told to slow down. If they go too far back, they'll get told to catch up. So yeah, the P2 and P3 runners caught up in an incident and are dropping down the pack. But it does promote the other Ferrari. But Perseguili, staying out of the wars, puts himself back up into P2. Now for those hard runners, this is probably a much better position to be in now. You can actually move the car a little bit faster, we'll keep those tyres a bit warmer. But you do have to maintain this gap. But no! Just as we thought they might be able to keep that up, we are now given a safety car. We're just trying to just sneak out without anybody really noticing it. So far we've had 3/4 of a racing lap to enjoy. So instead of looking at tyres, we're going to have a quick look at the big winners and losers so far. So naturally everybody's been given about 2 positions due to the fact that Gulmarv and Tash have had a huge incident. Tezik has unfortunately lost a lot of positions, so I didn't quite see what happened to him. One of the big winners is Rijad Jamovic, who I imagine has benefited from both the incident with Tash and Gulmarv and Tezik as well, along with Max Duca. So I can figure that Tezik has come from about the mid-pack and has fallen down just like the leaders did. So the pack has caught up, so potentially we might get going again at the end of this next lap. So yeah, Moxie just probably very, very glad at this point that he's managed to keep himself out of trouble. Persegili really doesn't need to do much with Moxie at this point. He just needs to keep him in sight, and then when he's got the tyres to fight, if he can look after his tyres better, then he might get to jump onto a preferable tyre towards the end and give him a tyre offset to Moxie, which will give us some great racing towards the end here. So I don't believe we'll have a fastest lap so far. But we do, of Moxie, which is unsurprising since he's leading the Grand Prix. Nobody's overtaken him. Yeah, as of it, we get safety car in this lap at the end of the second sector. Do wonder if Moxie's going to play this any differently to last time. The restart he just did is fresh in everybody's minds. Now potentially needing flagging to the stewards that Tash did glitch just before that incident, so I'm not sure if that played a part in the subsequent collision. And once again, choosing not to let the safety car get too far away. In that slow section, the F1 car is superior significantly to the safety car, so it needs to keep up some relative pace. He's not gone just yet. And has now. It's kept the Ferrari of Gabs a little bit napping. Allowed the Aston Martin to come up behind him, because Persegili was not fooled. Oh, we have Rijad. Rijad has spun round. And that, unfortunately, I think will be another safety car. It is. We see it on track. The turns 1 and 2. Forever just inviting people around the outside or for deep dives. And just the way the track pinches, it just invokes incidents. As somehow, in all of that, Gabs has overtaken Persegili. Persegili dropping back. Quite sure what's happened there. He was P2 to my knowledge before the safety car got called, so that realistically that's his position. Now, in most of the racing scenarios, P7 to lap 7 to lap 9, probably the ideal spot to really jump off these soft tyres and go to the end on the hards, which is exact. Ooh. It's like Gabs and Persegili have the exact opposite idea. Well, no, Gabs does have that idea. He was the one on the softs. So they're splitting strategies now. Hards gone to Gabs. But then Persegili onto mediums. Potentially he's just predicting a lot of safety cars, and the wear of the mediums will get him all the way. Fascinating. Moxie choosing not to give up track position, staying in P1. Pedro moving up, so we're going to quickly check the movers and shakers. So Max Duker choosing to stay out, gone to P7. Rising Moon, he's just beat someone on the pit exit. And then we've got Solid Ninja Snake, who started pretty far back. I don't think got too many runs in qualifying. He's now in P8. Got Persegili and Wilmarv and Gabs, who are all leaders to some extent early on in the race, all dicing over the podium positions. So as we wait once again for this to get underway, pack is relatively spread now with the amount of drivers that did have to pit through damage. For those who were involved in the incident, let's just have a look. They managed to get all their damage fixed. Persky didn't have an incident, but they have to go in. Tezik now the only driver left out on soft tyres, and I think he's noticed that himself as he dives into the pits. I'm going to quickly see what tyre he thinks is appropriate to go to the end. Mediums. So either push to go as far as the last safety car and then onto softs, or a tactic to be on the hardest possible tyre to go to the end. The Moxies are going to ask him to push to catch up with this pack so they can get going on this lap. As we now see an even split of the medium and hard tyres making up the grid now. Tash now with the freshest hards going forward. Has completed his pit stop. Is actually, you look at it like that, in a net P1. He's the only driver to have, furthest driver up to have pitted and come out on the hard tyres. So he's potentially one to watch. A bit between his teeth after that incident early on cost him multiple places, but he's potentially utilised it into a strategy. Moxie has done almost 2 carbon copies of his race start, choosing not to go too slow through the last few corners and then going about 50 metres onto the pit straight. Looks like he's slowing him down a little bit more this time. Maybe he's listening to the stream, we don't know. As he's got Creamer really sitting on his gearbox this time. He's going to have to do something to shake him off. He tries to wiggle him off. But he's going to have to go pretty soon. Oh, as we've got touches in the background. I think there might be a few drivers calling for a dangerous restart. He went very, very late. He's got a solid Ninja Snake getting around the outside of Bachelay as we have another car in the wall. Disaster. That's Max Duca. As I'd be surprised if we do not get another safety car, and we do. Thank you for joining us, Aiden. I believe I've said that right. As Richard has now left the session after his retirement. As we go into another period of safety car stoppage. Thank you for those who are sitting through all of this. So whilst we are waiting, let's try and go through a little bit of Melbourne trivia. Would anybody in the comments, without googling it, like to have a guess who has won the Melbourne Grand Prix the most times? I'll be waiting. Extra points if you guess how many times this driver's won the Melbourne Grand Prix. It's not what I've got down. So not correct so far, Ertie. There he goes, Michael Schumacher. Absolutely correct. Can you tell me how many times, Ertie? Or can someone beat him to it? as I think we're going to have one more time around the Melbourne Grand Prix circuit, as we've got 2 Ferrari power cars. Oh, he's gone too high there, Erty. To save everybody the suspense, I'll come out with it. Michael Schumacher has won Melbourne 4 times in 14 outings. Then followed by Jenson Button, who's won the Melbourne Grand Prix 3 times, David Coulthard 2 times, and Kimi Raikkonen also 2 times. I've just seen AVT Pasty dive into the pits. He's had enough of these hard tyres. Thinks this is probably medium range, and he does. He goes on to the mediums. But I think he might find, as we've got movers up front, as Gabs glitched out, just seems to be driving through cars. Not quite sure what's going on with Gabs. One statistic I'd like to share with you. Gulmarv has got a 5-second penalty. Annoying flags. As Gabs is just causing absolute havoc with his car. If admin can get a note through to Gabs, Gabs is driving a different version of the game to everybody else, it seems. If he carries it on, he's probably going to get himself disqualified. No, we're not going this lap. The next lap, we haven't been given the calls. Oh no, that's very, very late. We have done, so we're going to go on board with Moxie. Is he prepared? He's going to have to really, really slow down here so the safety car can get in. Oh my god. As off Moxie goes, Gabs is now dropping back. Creamer fancies a look. Persegidi already making places in P5, but he has not warmed these tyres up yet. In 5 laps, and who's that? That's Pedro going slowly. Gets a bit of a touch from Persegidi. Does he stick it in? No, he does not. That leaves Bachelor Lightyear to come up the rear of him as well. Further back, we've got Rising Moon down the inside of Tezik. We're going to go back up to Persegidi Solid Ninja Snake. Persegidi makes a lovely move around the inside. And off he goes with a bit of real happy action coming through the chicane. But Creamer has not let Moxie go. The hard tyres slow to warm up against similar age mediums. Just got the advantage right now. But I think Ware will come into play very quickly. Persegidi will catch this group very, very fast. Got the McLarens further back, swapping positions. Albeit the wrong way around, as J-Trade does have the faster rubber at the moment. Bachelor here likes the look of Pedro. He's dropped a few positions. He's looking vulnerable. Will there be a dive? No. Oh, but as the Alpine of Mulcahy got very close as well. Glitchy car of Gabs is getting back in the mix. Oh, as we have Pedro in the wall. But he is going again, so hopefully we don't get stuck in another safety car. No, thankfully we are still going. And just as well as we've now got Creamer really not letting Moxie go, and DRS will be active next lap. So he'll be playing this very, very carefully. He wants to use his faster tyres to overtake Moxie at the prime time. But he's going to have to do something quickly because Persegili, as I mentioned before, has caught up with this group. Yeah, Moxie really, really cold on these tyres. Yes, Persegili sets another fastest lap of the race. Three-way battle for the lead. You could argue that Persegili's already in a net P1 having pitted. It just doesn't look like Creamer's got the tyres to fight. Bit further back, Gabs has made a dive down the inside. But Simu Rally Monster is getting thrown over the curb by Mulshane. But gets the move done. Rising Moon looking for a move, choosing not to. Maybe just looking for a line. Persegili down the round the outside with DRS, but not quite getting it done just yet. Looks like he gets a much stronger exit there though. Creamer struggling with the dirty air from Moxie. Persegili just starting to struggle with straight line speed, it seems. But we've got Super Jesse out, and it looks like he's just lost it on the exit of the chicane. No safety car, thank goodness. Maybe we've hit the limit. Because Creamer does pick up a time penalty. We do have Batch Lightyear closing on this group as well. Further back, we've got Rising Moon looking to double up on the Hassers. And then brings Tezik into the mix, almost runs into the side of M. Simu Rally Monster. And he's really going to go for it now. Pulls out, but doesn't seem to have the braking powers to get the move done. Wilmarv coming back through the pack. The man who started amongst the leaders. We're looking to make up for earlier amends. But at this point in the race, he's got the very fast tyres of Tash all over the back of him. As you have J-Tray, overtaking round the outside of turn 9. Fantastic move with the purple middle sector as well. Oh my god, look at this group. Don't leave each other alone as we have huge dives going on there. The two Hassers and the McLarens have to negotiate as J-Tray slides in between the two. Can he get round the outside? He can. But can the other McLaren get through? He can. The two McLarens have now split the Haas team. I think we had another car go round. Might have been Pedro. And Persegili, I'm sorry, in all the action behind, we've missed Persegili taking the lead. I imagine at this point in the race it was probably quite an easy lead to take with the speed of his tyres. We're going to go back to some of the midfield action. Tezik does not seem to want to just play nice with his teammate, J-Tray. He's coming after him. I think a bit of team play with the others that are still yet to pit ahead, I think would be advisable. But he's got DRS and he's looking. But as it stands, J-Tray has it too. As a bit further forward, we've got Mercedes power versus Mercedes power. And that's Rising Moon coming back up the inside of Bachelor Lightyear. As we have another retirement of AVT Pasty. Looks like Gabs has stabilised his internet and put himself right back in contention. He's currently a net P2. As Persegili showing his credentials that he had from last season, pulling out into the lead. Rising Moon on fresh and medium tyres. isn't letting Gabs get away. Gabs very much the leader of this quite elongated train. DRS open. Squirming at the back of Gabs. Can he make it break around the outside? He can. Fantastic move. Gabs has that position grabbed from him. So much going on, I'm not quite sure where to look. We're going to stay on board with Gabs as he looks to come back. But Bachelor Lightyear is having to defend from Rally Monster with the extra interest of J-Tray, who backs out that time. Wow, this midfield battle is really well established. We're going to make sure Rally Monster doesn't overcommit on his line. Doesn't need to be siding through those two cars, which he doesn't do. Great racing. Oh, as Tezik really gets a bit of a switcher on. Invites Tash up to the back of him. And once again, the McLaren's choosing to fight. J-Tray really not really giving Tezik a line there. Oh, as J-Tray gets right over the curb, and that invites Tash into the fold. Tezik goes deep. Tash looks around the outside, but Tezik does go deep and covers that line off. Oh, as we have a car in the wall of Rally Monster. Goimov goes into the pits. I don't think we're going to get a safety car. Persegidi just cruising at this point. Oh, it's fantastic when you watch the drivers know exactly where the track limits are. And it was a long time coming. Tezik retakes the position back off J-Tray. Oh, and further forward. What gets from bad to worse for J-Tray. Tash takes that position off him. But potentially Tezik will relish in this. He no longer has his teammate hindering him. But Tash does go a little deep. Will this affect him on the straight? Creamer takes up P2 as Moxie finally jumps into the pits. We're just going to watch where he comes out because this will be crucial for his race. Got 9 laps to go on these softs, which is more than achievable. But he's got a lot of work to do. I think all these safety cars really screwed over his hard tyre strategy. Going back to the action. Bachelor Lightyear has Gabs sitting duck in P4. Gabs just wants to be left alone to chase down the podium positions, but he's not going to get that. DRS does open for Bachelor Lightyear. Closing speed is good, but not good enough. As JJ picks up penalties. Tezik looks a huge dive down the inside, plants it on the curb, but Bachelor Lightyear finds just the track limits to keep himself alive in this battle. We'll see Michelin kissing the tail light of that McLaren. As we've got Creamer now pitting, looking to potentially go for the soft strategy as well. And he comes out behind Moxie, which is not what he wanted. He has been undercut. As Tezik really starting to show the age of those medium tyres. He's really struggling to control the rear end of that car. Bachelor Lightyear can see this. It does look like Tash is disconnected. Bachelor Lightyear will get the DRS open. Unfortunately for Tezik, he has lost that support. It's not really a place you want to be overtaking into unless you really, really are feeling it. Further back, Moxie making progress. There's one position. He needs to average about 2 a lap to get all the way back into the lead. Ooh, not great track limits from Max Duca there. Multiple drivers carrying track limit penalties. Ooh, as Tezik looks like he crossed the pit lane entry there. Bachelightyear gets another penalty. I'll be checking on those very shortly as we come towards the end of the race. As that's Moxie getting another one, P8. So it's the fastest lap of the race. Persigili will be noting this. We'll have a look at gap to leader. So he's got 15 seconds to catch. I mean, in terms of lap times, I think he could do that, but he does have to pass the cars. And yeah, he's really stuck in this train now with the DRS. But he does have the tyres to pull off something audacious like this. That's exactly where he wants to be, the inside for turn 9. Not many people should be looking to fight this. As Moxie picks up a time penalty he really didn't want. And he's going to hope Tash doesn't rejoin the lobby now. Oh, it doesn't quite see his braking zone, but gets it done all the same. Someone needs to get a megaphone to Persigili. He's coming, he's coming. Moxie really getting held up by J-Tray there, but he gets the traction, he gets the inside, and he gets DRS. And that AlphaTauri is just going to launch itself into the distance. Oh, this is going to be so close towards the end. Bachelightyear in a bit of no man's land here at the moment. Can only presume he's pitted on lap 1. Have 22 laps of tyres. He's still left to pit. And he's still yet to pit. So that is a free position for Moxie. He's going to have to go soon. But it doesn't look like he needs it for free. He's going to take it anyway. And off he goes. Podium is well in sight. 3 lap soft tyres against 15 lap old mediums of Gabs. Hards of Gabs, sorry. So we're very much enthralled by the progress of Moxie here. He does have a time penalty, so he needs to catch Persigili and lose him. So if I was Persigili, I don't think I'd mind too much about him passing in the end. But you certainly back him up so he's got as little time as possible to build that gap. So he makes an easy pass on Gabs. A little bit further back, we've got battles emerging. Tyre offset will come in right at the very end. As I think Persigili's really starting to put in a shift here. He's very much been left alone since his rivals pitted early on. Stretching out these medium tyres. Rising Moon is keeping a relative gap to him with the younger tyres, but not quite doing enough to really mount a challenge in this race. Pedro is now retired from the session in the pit lane. As we've got Mushla getting super close to Bachelightyear. He doesn't want to have to rely on just penalties to get this position off him. Looks to the inside, goes to the outside, and I imagine he's going to get this under brakes. And Tash does rejoin. MP9 is going to take control of his car very shortly. That's just a shame, a man who was showing such great pace ends up struggling with his connection. Bachelightyear has been dispatched. Moxie has now caught up to Rising Moon. And round he goes. The tricky part of the circuit is a really mounted challenge, especially when you know you've got multiple DRS zones that are going to come to punish you, the drivers that want to come back at you. But as they start this fast section, Persegili's coming towards the end of it. He's going through turn 9. Just as Moxie's tyres are just going to start to show some age. Persegili probably isn't going to be that happy that Rising Moon didn't quite mount as much for a challenge as he'd have liked. But he has lost Moxie about a second and a half. We will rejoin that battle as that time comes down. For the meantime, we're going to go to J-Tray, who's been pushing through, affected by his teammate earlier on. Oh, as we have Pitter of Batch Lightyear. Yes, we noted earlier on that he needed a pit. Just didn't quite play out for him. He was hoping for a later safety car. But we're not going to get one now, not in the last 3 laps, and not after we've already used up the allocation. Creamer, who's been in and around the top fight for the early stage of the race and qualifying. Ooh, has to run deep to get out the back of J-Tray there. As Tash picks up a penalty. So we're just going to quickly have a look at those penalties. Ooh, as Creamer looks like he gets squeezed a little bit to the wall. We're thankful that the line does open back up and takes that position. He's now into P6. So yeah, penalties as they stand. We have multiple drivers on 3-second time penalties, but with Creamer and Batch Lightyear on 6 seconds. So Moxie really has to work out for him as we watch Creamer get really snappy on the rear, and that allows J-Tray back through. The position he just worked so hard for has just come back and taken it from him. As now we see that Max Duca wants to come back. Creamer leaves in the space, but he doesn't really want there. I think after the tribulations, I think Moxie might just take P2. I'm sure he's going to give it everything. He's gained a second and a half in that last lap, but like I said, I don't think that's going to be quite enough to get him to Persegili and past, and to gap 3 seconds. I think Creamer's going to do everything he can to get this position back. It'll be in vain though, because out of this group, he's the odd one out with an extra 3 seconds of penalties. Creamer does slot up the inside, gets into turn 9 ahead. And Max Duca, liking the look of J-Tray as well, he comes up the inside as the space opens up for him, brakes and slots in between the 2 cars. Cuts the line off, does it well. I think J-Tray 16 lap old mediums isn't doing too great at this point. Not too many close battles now apart from this one. I don't think Max Duca's going to push too hard at Creamer with the penalties. But Tezik jumps right in front of Elise very late on the straight. And scuttles away. A 6-lap-old softs. And Elise's hards are no match for that tyre compound. There's Tash wanting to regain some honour. In P9, sizing up J-Tray in P8. He wants to put the McLarens back on the 5th row. But as we say that, J-Tray wants that position back off Max Duca. As 3 come together out of the middle chicane, the fast chicane. I have no idea who's going to come out of this sequence ahead. So far it's J-Tray, but has he gone deep? Can Tash pull one back up the inside? No. So I think we've basically flipped that 3. It's going through that section. Moxie underneath 8 seconds now. As we've now had Gabs leave the session. Had a few internet problems this evening. As Tash now picks up an extra time penalty, which Cream will be very happy to see. That secures at least one extra position in that piece from P6. Where has Max Duca gone? Oh no, he's spun it into the wall of the exit of turn 3. But he does seem to be up and going. And so many tyres giving up the ghost now. Got Creamer getting past Mushline. Has he had a mistake? I didn't see that gap really come down. And now we've got J-Tray back past Tash. But Tash is coming back. It looks like he's had a better exit. But J-Tray does have DRS to defend himself. Sorry we've missed it, but Persegili does cross the line on worn tyres. With Moxie giving up in the end with 10 seconds back. Then Rising Moon. Very exuberant over the line. And Gabs disconnected but comes home in 4th. Then Mushlane. Creamer drops back that position. And then we have 2 drivers chasing the line. J-Tray and Tash coming in P7 and 8. And then Tash drops back even further due to penalties. Bachelor Lightyear. Elise, who jumps into P10. Bachelor Lightyear with penalties, dropping out of the top 10. Max Duca, solid Ninja Snake. Running Monster has been chased the line. Baguli Marv, who does take P14 at the last. Great action all the way to the line. But yeah, thank you so much everyone for joining us this evening. I hope you've all enjoyed yourself. Thankfully we ran out of safety cars. The Bert Mylander got bored, went home, put the kettle on so we can enjoy some racing. Sorry to those who we lost along the way. We did finish off with most of a grid though, which is fantastic for league racing. So Persegili starts the season as he finished it off with a championship lead. Gets to lift a trophy, spray some champagne. The Mercedes pit crew applaud as they got both drivers on the podium. That's a great start for the Constructors and the Drivers' Championship. But Moxie showed himself to be a force to be reckoned with. Without strategy falling apart, without safety cars, today could have been a different story. He certainly had the pace, and I very much look to those two getting embroiled in a title battle as things goes on. Moxie doesn't leave with nothing though, as along with that P2 he does go home with fastest lap. So as it stands, we have Persegili, followed by Moxie, Rising Moon, Gabs, Mushlane, Creamer, J-Tray, Tezik, Tash, and Elise filling out the top 10. Bachelor Lightyear, who gambled quite heavily, coming out in P11. Then Max Duca, Solid Ninja Snake, Gulimarv, and Rally Monster rounding out the finishers, with Pedro, Pasti, Super Jesse, Rijad, Jamovic, those who retired from the session. Hope to see you all next week, 8 o'clock on Sundays to catch this racing once again. If you haven't done so already, if you enjoyed the content, like and subscribe to the channel, drop a like on this video, and hope we see more and more of you as the season goes along. And for all those drivers watching this back, I hope I did you justice. Have a good night. Bye.